Well, the 7th Annual World Autism Awareness Day is April 2. Indeed, the month of April is actually dedicated for the awareness of autism. And each year, autism organizations around the world celebrate the day. So how is Ghana celebrating it? Is there anything that you out there would have to do to help the day? We'll get into that. But today we're talking autism. The subject is not new. It's something that we've talked about before. My guest, Sewa Kweno, is founder and executive director of Autism Awareness Center and Training. Auntie Sewa, good morning to you. Thank you. And Mary Kufuor is the center coordinator of Awawa too, and it's a center that supports children with speech and language difficulties. You also have a 10-year-old who has autism.
Yes, and she has 31.
Yeah.
And my son is 31 with autism.
So can I just ask you, I mean, how is the growing up stages like?
For me, it's as difficult as, you know, raising children in general it's a difficult task. And having to raise a child who has special needs is extra difficult.
Because I tell you what, you know, when you're raising a baby, you know, you're changing diapers, you're doing everything for the baby. And you know that someday the child would grow up and start taking some of the responsibilities by him or herself. And knowing that you have to do this, you know, almost for life, that's a very difficult thing to even imagine.
Probably I would call it a life support. But also for people with autism, some of them relatively will need that support for the rest of their lives. And that's very sad. And to come back to what you said earlier, how has it been and how are we managing it? Yes. It's been extremely difficult. For me, for instance, I found the diagnosis around age 4.5. I completely had no idea what autism was. And
but what was your baby girl then talking? I mean, did she start exhibiting things that every child that age should be doing?
She, before age 3, yes. I remember very well when she needs water and, you know, making just simple requests, you know, at that age was happening. And just before the onset of the 3rd, you know, year, she lost everything. And that was when we became a little worried. And we started going to hospital, and all that they told us was that she's going to talk, so I shouldn't worry. And she was going to talk. We were waiting for... And then when she was about 4.5, a friend visited us from the States. Apparently, she's been exposed to a lot of these issues. So being with us for just about 15-20 minutes, she said, "Mary, I think your daughter has autism." And that was the first time. And I'm telling you, I'm a teacher. For the past 12 years, at the time, I have taught school kids, and I completely had no idea what it was. She took me to a cafe, and I started reading about it. The more I read about it, the more I said to myself, no, it's not it. It's not it. My baby was perfect at the outside, okay? There's no deformity, nothing. But it's behavior that shows that, you know, it's something. She was apparently flipping her fingers. Sometimes she looked into space, and then she lost her speech, which was one of the major things I noticed that, you know, something, there's a question mark. And then her attention wasn't also very good. You know, she was running all over the place, hiding behind television and TV set, and she would pull all the curtains in my room down. She wants every foam and cushion, in the sofa or whatever, down. You know, there were certain things down. And already I have 2 boys, regular kids. Yes, so comparing this
very
one.
Regular.
And this was my only girl. So definitely, if you're in my position, you say, no, you know. Yes, but then things were become very evident. She was quelling off from us gradually, and we were very worried. And the day we got the diagnosis, it was like a death warrant. You know, they keep telling you some of the things that your child may never be able to do. Yes, and it was very difficult. But again and again, I found support in other parents who have children who have been on the journey. Okay. And then
Is it common to find somebody else? I mean, knowing that people would usually not talk about this.
Not at all. But again and again, there are people like Auntie Sewa. She was the first I met anyway, who told me about it. I said, hey.
She's been one of the loudest.
You know. So it was an inspiration to me. Listen to a journey, what it has been. And more importantly, also taking one step at a time. Yes, learning to accept the little things, especially the things I could not change in my life. I had a whole lot of dream in my head, you know, having the only girl, the last one. I was thinking of having a nice, you know, you can give braid. Here you are with a child who says, I don't even want, you know, to wear earrings. She has never. She still doesn't.
So your son is 31. Can I say congratulations?
Thank you.
Because you still look very good.
Hey.
But how is it for somebody like that? I mean, is he like a regular young 31-year-old?
Yes, for Norte, the journey has been very difficult. But then we have been there for Norte. We have taken him everywhere. We take him to restaurants. I have flown with him on different journeys abroad, and you know, and we take him everywhere. He goes to church. He's always gone to church. People look, and I look right back, and then I tell them, I try to explain, because if you don't take the child out now at a young age and explain to your community the child that you have, then they will keep staring. Note was not born, and Note did not live in Ghana. We came to Ghana when he was 15. At the time, he had severe behavior challenges. But with Note, in the beginning, autism is a spectrum disorder. He was one of the higher functioning children. He was toilet trained by the age of 4. Note was able to attend in class. He was in the mainstream where they had children with autism in another class, but then he was in the mainstream for computer class, for artwork, for music, and so he had all those. He was taught how to go to the shop and behave himself, and all these things. And coming to Ghana, we've also done that. Note has gone to I've never been to the movie theater at the Silverbird, but he's been several times. And
by himself?
No,
like on
he
his own
goes
with friends?
He has a carer.
Okay.
He has support where we say you need. For some people, they can be trained not to without the support. This is why we're saying that there are people with autism that go to university. There are people with autism that cannot even take care of their daily needs. There are people with autism that not goes to work at a printing press here in Kokomlemle.
Oh.
Yes, he goes with his support, and he's done so well. But the journey has been more than difficult. But because of, God has been there, ordered every step. But like she said, we still have autism. There is no cure for autism. It is a lifelong disorder. So it depends on the spectrum where you are. So every child who suspects, any parent who suspects my child has language delay, oh, my child doesn't really play with other children, my child is hyperactive, my child is hiding behind TV.
Sometimes they'll say, I mean, it's in the family. That's how my first child was.
Yes,
like,
and the boy, they don't talk early and blah, blah, blah. Please, it's important that they go look for help. Thankfully, we used to have only one doctor who was diagnosing and doing all these assessments in Ghana. Now we have a few other doctors, and you can imagine the whole of Ghana. You go to Kolebu to get an appointment, takes forever. You need a neuropediatrician, you need psychologists, you need speech therapists, occupational therapists.
You need money.
You need money. Yeah. Thank you for mentioning money.
That's huge.
That's huge. And even in the house, you need support. You cannot do this alone. So if you tell parents you need to find the support, hire people, oh, I can't live with people and I can't do this, you're going to stress out. You have to give of yourself. You don't want to live with somebody else. But you can't do this alone, because there are times you will have sleepless nights.
Yeah. I'll come to, this is another thing that is that's on my heart. I'll come to how this can affect your other children, you know, when you have other children. And another thing, your marriage, because there's if you're a woman, there's a man, you know, around you, and it can all go wrong, you know, sometimes. But Mary, did you ever ask yourself if you did something wrong, if something went wrong somewhere?
Of course, I did question God. I think that's one of the things. Why me? What have I done wrong? You know, why wouldn't you give this to somebody who is a millionaire somewhere and has the money to spend and fly them to America and get the best of nurses to... Why me, a teacher? And then the more I asked God the question, you know...
Why not you?
Why not you?
Maybe he's trying to teach you something.
Yes. Along the way, it has not been negative. Yeah, I'm today, you know, talking to you. I might never have, you know, met you. That's one of the things. But we are talking about it, but behind the scenes, I tell you, my sister, it's huge. The stress on yourself, the social stigma on yourself, the financial difficulties you would have to go through looking for school.
Do people see you as strange?
No.
Okay.
As a person, no. But I think they don't understand. They completely do not understand. And they keep on asking you questions that you yourself don't have the answers
to.
Okay? And sometimes, because it's not a physical disability, it's something that manifests itself in the person's speech, social behavior, imagination, and the rest. People do not understand. And they feel that maybe if you resort to the prayer camps and spend probably the rest of your life there, keeping praying and all that, yes, of course I believe in prayers.
Auntie Sewa wants to say something.
I want to, you know, like you find for me, people stayed away from me. They didn't want to be friends. They just tolerate you. And it's the same everywhere. But in Ghana, because of people see any disability as a curse on the family, or that you have used your child to go and get sikadro, and that you yourself, you are a witch. It's always a woman who has done this. You've been unfaithful. Or you...
God is
I have heard a minister say, oh, people with disabilities, and they go and do all these things, and then they...
As in a minister of states?
A minister of the gospel.
Okay.
And I sat down and I cringed. And I said, he went, and they do all these drugs, and they smoke, and they do these things. And I was in a Bible study class, but God gave me the patience to sit and listen to him.
Let him end.
And when he ended, I had to respect him. I took him outside. And I said, sir, you are the type of people who send somebody like me away from God. So then I had to find him. I told him to go and read his Bible. Because sometimes it is to glorify God that the work that we are doing, so that they should know. It isn't this demon, whatever. And he went on and on. I felt like walking out. But God allowed me to stay to listen.
I probably would not let him end it.
Eventually,
just get up and give my peace of mind and walk out.
He was educated. Because I told him, I haven't done this, I haven't done that. All the things you said, it's negative for me. So tell me, why do I have this child? So your judgmental attitude needs to stop. I educated him. And we get a lot of that in Ghana. People just judge you. But you know something? I've done this for so long that you need to just dust off your shoulder. And because if somebody doesn't want to be educated, you can't force a horse to you can take the horse to the river, but you can't force the horse to drink. So we'll continue with the awareness. And thankfully, we're here. You asked the question, it's very difficult. We wouldn't be here otherwise. And it is our duty to make sure others who have children like our children, maybe somebody's watching. So if you are sitting down and somebody has told you, wait, your child will talk. Oh, wait, your child will... Don't wait. Because it is a health issue. It's a human rights issue. You need to seek help as soon as possible. Because now there's some help in Ghana.
So where do you go?
This is the thing. You first of all have to see your doctor. But now we're saying a lot of doctors also don't know. I'm sorry, but they don't really, many doctors don't know about autism.
Because, sometimes you hear, oh, how old is a child? Oh, it's normal.
Yes.
you
And they haven't been trained. It's not their fault. Because people mention autism maybe 30 minutes in the class to you. And a lot of psychology students that I have seen at the center come and say, oh, maybe we covered it a little. So are these people going to do the assessment? No. But thankfully, you go to now there are places, Kolebu, Children's Hospital in Accra, and where there's Dr. Beidou there, and there's Dr. Marble. And then there's Derek Opon in Tama. And then
which hospital are we talking about in Tama?
This is in Tama, I don't know. That's his name. But also in 37. Yeah, the House Hearing Center.
At what's the
that's
place?
in Kanishing.
Coco Clinic.
Coco Clinic. And then there's Speech and Hearing Center in Hachu. There are a few places around that can now access. These are all in Accra. So can you imagine what's happening outside of Accra? It's really scary. Because when you think of the statistics, as we sit today, just recently, less than a month ago, the CDC, which is the world, is like in America, called the Center for Disease Control, they come out with the statistics. The statistics that they have there is 1 in 68. When my son was diagnosed 29 years ago, it was 1 in 1,000. So it is really scary. And they're thinking there's something in the environment, in what we eat and what we're doing.
So that for instance, that's maybe what the parent is doing. Because obviously it would not be the child, or...
No, it's not what the parent is doing necessarily. It's in the environmental, we have messed up our earth. It could be in the fumes. Look at all the cars and the fumes we breathe in. Look, and it could be many, many things. But it also could be what food you are giving to your child. Like we're giving instant noodles to our children. We're giving them a lot of sugar. We're giving them all kinds of things that is processed foods. We need to stop feeding our children. And we need to stop eating the processed foods. I don't know.
And to add up to what Auntie Sewa said, I think, when you go for these prenatal clinics,
that's right.
We are being taught, of other developmental milestones. So immediately you have your child, you know that at 6 months, they should be able to, sit up. Yes. At 1, they should be able to, take a few, probably crawl or something. Now, when it comes to communication milestones, we are not being taught.
Exactly.
Yes.
So then when a child is 8, 9 months, we expect that they should bubble, they should look at your face, they should, when you look at them with a certain gesture, they know that this is what you are trying to communicate. A lot of non-verbals do happen at the early stages. When you're breastfeeding a child and sometimes, they bite on your nipples and, you squeeze your face and they stop and they start laughing. There's that connection. They understand your facial expression. They are attaching meaning to those things. Now, there are some of these things our children don't do. They don't understand social cues and gestures and all that, so your body language means nothing to them. You would have a child who is not pointing, which is extremely important. If you have a child at 2, 2.5, 3 years, and they are not pointing, because when a child points, they are sharing an idea with you, even though they are not talking, okay? Sometimes you have a mother with a child at the back and they see yogurt or whatever, pass, and they just turn, letting you know that they want some. Again, we also have a child who is like 3, 3.5, and they are running around. We have a child who is having it difficult to just maintain eye contact. So you look at them and they are looking away. You have a child who have difficulty understanding what is being said. Just simple instruction. You have a child who is not responding to their name, and they don't also have hearing infection or hearing problems and all that. All these things are extremely important because wherever they are, at age 2, at age 3, whatever, when you mention their name, they should be able to at least respond promptly. Even if they don't say yes, mommy, or what.
They should turn.
Exactly. That's the right word.
Okay.
And they don't do all these things. So don't sit and expect a rocket science or, people to tell you that it's not right.
So just, quickly, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time, but how does that affect, your marriage, your family life, other children involved? I mean, is it advisable that when you have an autism child, you have another child?
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
It's difficult. The marriage, that one, most people, most families end up in divorce. There are statistics out there. It's more than 80%, 80, 90. A lot of the men leave.
Will run away from us, and some of the women too.
A few women, usually they can't handle the depression. It becomes a mental health. They can't take care of the children. But most people leave. Most people who have children with autism, it ends up in divorce, or the marriage is like they are there, but it's just
they're
not really there. And it is very difficult because sometimes there's no sleep. If the child isn't sleeping, you're not asleep. So how do you get time to be with your husband or your wife and whatever, you know what I mean? And then with the siblings also, it affects the siblings greatly.
Yeah.
Let's
I
talk
have
about
a 16-year-old son. Growing up, this is the time they are defining who they are and all that. And here you are with your only sister who is not communicating, who is pulling curtains down, putting all, cushions down at the hallway, and it's difficult for him to understand.
And you
but we
bring
need to,
friends
home. We have to sit them down, talk them through it. And we have a culture where we ask them to take her out for a walk, sometimes 15, 20 minutes. And through that way, they are also beginning. And I think one of the things that we asked them that has really helped, would they want to be in their sister's position? And they all said no, quickly. It's okay. So if you don't want to be in her position, what can you do to support her so that it makes life easier? I think this is one of the questions we ask them as couple, to my kids.
And
I have
it's
to
involving them,
a lot.
which is a very good thing.
Yes.
But just before we go, let me ask about funding. The Autism Awareness Center and Training. Are you getting any support from government, for instance?
No. None
and the same to
whatsoever.
our too. No,
We don't.
So how are you managing?
It's very difficult.
Do you get support from persons who do not have children with autism?
Yes.
Okay.
I say that God has been great, and it comes in piecemeal. A little here, a little there, and then we just go. We are natural beggars. We say we go, and I'm not afraid to ask. So if you're listening and you want to support us, the Autism Center in Awawa too, we will gladly leave our account numbers with Mama V, and because we need. Taking care of a child with autism is very expensive.
Okay. But you have a website, right?
Yes.
Okay, please give it quickly.
www.aact.org.gh.
Okay, can you give it again?
www.aact.org.gh.
All right. It's my prayer that we get a lot of support because this is important. And this is when Mary, thank you so much for your time. And that will be it for my banner and indeed for the AM show. Join Roland and myself tomorrow, Thursday, for another edition. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You see me what Lego